Yes,
I like
I
it.
definitely can see that.
We'll call the Troy Planning Commission meeting for June 25th, 2025 to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. McGarry,
Present.
Mr. Wolke,
Here.
Mrs. Ehrlich,
Here.
Mr. Titterington,
Here.
Mayor,
Here.
Mr. Westmeyer,
Here.
Mr. Emmerich. There's a quorum.
Okay, the minutes for the June 11th, 2025 meeting were sent out to everyone. Is there any corrections, deletions, or revisions?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, they're approved. First order of business is a historical district application for a sign at 114 South Market Street. Staff have a report?
Yes, sir. So, a request by the applicant Winners Computer, LLC, on behalf of the owner, Four Sons Development, for the installation of a 22.6 square foot building sign at 114 South Market. This building is permitted to have a total of 30 square feet of building signage. The applicant is proposing to install a 22.6 square foot building sign. The sign will be made from a routed composite material using black and white lettering, stud mounted, to give a three-dimensional appearance. The digital print graphics will be applied only to the computer area of the sign. Staff does recommend approval of the proposed sign based on the following. The proposed sign will meet the City of Troy sign code, as well as Section 5.4 of the design manual. And the applicant is here if you have any further questions.
Essentially, it's just a replacement of the existing
Correct.
sign, pretty much
Yeah,
the
but
same size.
we made them come up to three-dimensional lettering because of our new standard of the design.
Okay.
Right. Before, I think it was just a aluminum, sheet metal sign
Yeah,
before.
flat surface.
Yeah, flat surface.
Okay. Any other questions for staff?
So there,
Go
sorry.
Go ahead.
So there is a sign, or an old sign there, just the window sign is not the only signage there?
So they're going to remove the old building sign, if this does go forward, but also the window sign is being replaced, but that's approved administratively. We're reviewing that. It meets as well, so.
That's fine.
Yep.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion for approval and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wolke,
Yes.
Mrs. Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mr. Titterington,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Westmeyer,
Yes.
Mr. McGarry.
Yes.
Approved.
Okay, next item of business is the Historical District application, certificate of appropriateness for installation of a 24-foot square foot building sign. Staff have a report.
Yes, sir. So Christina Gregory, on behalf of the owner Troy Auto Detail and Tint, LLC, has requested the Planning Commission for a 24 square foot building sign at 222 East Main Street. This building is permitted to have a total of 72 square feet of building signage. The applicant is proposing to install a 24 square foot building sign. The sign will be made from an aluminum composite material using three-dimensional routed lettering. The lettering will be white with a light blue logo and black backing. Staff does recommend approval of the proposed sign based on the following. The proposed sign will meet City of Troy sign code requirements, as well as Section 5.4 of the design manual.
Staff anybody have any questions for staff?
So there is no sign there now, right?
No, not currently.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
And the confusion about what can be there, inside, outside, the whole thing, all that's been worked out?
Yeah, so nothing can be on the exterior, no automotive detailing on the outside at all. I would also add that we have approved a minor amendment for this building as well. That included one garage door. The garage door had no historical significance, so we took that administratively.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion for approval and a second. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mr. Titterington,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Westmeyer,
Yes.
Mr. McGarry,
Yes.
Mr. Wolke.
Yes.
It's approved.
Okay, next item is plan development application and general plan application for Eagles Landing, located at Wilson Road, south of State Route 718. Staff have a report.
Yes, sir. So this project totals 86.88 acres. And it is a plan development request, so it's a rezone as well as a general plan request. Surrounding zoning districts include county zoning of A2 general agriculture to the north, south, and west, and then city zoning of planned unit development at Stonebridge Meadows to the east. The use is in layout, so really what they're trying to do here is provide a variety of housing options. So 68 lots will be 60 foot by 150 foot. 104 lots will be 70 foot by 130 foot, single family detached lots. And then you'll have 39 more dense lots, but these will still remain single family with the 0 lot line on the side lot line. So that's really the reasoning for the PD request, is the 0 lot line for the side yard setbacks. There's two key access points here on this subdivision. Heatherstone Drive will be continued into Eagles Landing. Recreation and open space, the development does provide 17.19 acres of private open space that will be maintained by the HOA. This is almost double the 10% open space requirements for the subdivision. So we're really happy with that. This will include a basketball court, playground, clubhouse, pool, pickleball courts, and walking trails that connect the pond. The comprehensive plan that we adopted last October does show this area for future residential use, as well as it's a stated goal to promote and provide a variety of housing options. I did provide all of the general plan criteria as well as the rezoning criteria in red. I'm not going to read each one, but due to the straightforward nature of this rezoning request, the compatibility of the proposed zoning matching the surrounding zoning districts, and the fact that council is required to hold a public hearing if the request proceeds on, staff does not feel that a public hearing before the Planning Commission is warranted at this time. It is recommended that Planning Commission make a positive recommendation regarding this plan development application based on the following. The PD request complies with the comprehensive plan future land use, and it does comply with the general plan requirements of zoning code section 1145.16. And that'll conclude my report.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now the first item of business to take care of is to determine whether or not to hold a public hearing.
I'll move that we not hold a public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion not to hold a public hearing. And second, a roll call. Yes means we will not have a public hearing.
Correct. Mr. Titterington?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Westmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. McGarry?
Yes.
Mr. Wolke?
Yes.
Mrs. Early?
Yes.
Motion is adopted. Commission will not hold a public hearing.
Okay, now for the recommendation of the Troy Council. Just a quick question. Now, this is going through as a planned development. Just public streets are going to be they're public streets or the HOA private streets?
They're public streets, and there'll be a right-of-way dedication once we get to step 3 of the PD for the record plan.
Okay.
So this is just the overall plan approval at this point.
Okay. And the entire plan is under a PD of
Yes, sir.
zoning that? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions for staff?
Well, as I recall, when I first came here, we had about 19,000 people. Now we're well in excess of 25,000 people. Have we received any input from the school board about the impact of all this development?
We haven't reached out to the schools in particular to this project, but we have in most recent ones, and they are saying that they have plenty of capacity to take on what we're currently producing.
I know the last time I talked to a board member, they didn't see a problem, but I'm amazed.
Well, I'm not sure that's one of the criterion we would use, but certainly we want to be sensitive to, especially with them building new facilities. Do you have any other questions, Larry?
No.
No. Mr. Chair, a couple
Yes,
of
sir.
questions. Thank you for the color coding. The blue is a zero lot line. The orange and the yellow, probably don't exactly match the, conventional zoning districts, but the orange, what zoning district would that most closely match, and then the yellow?
So you're at 60 by 50. That would be an R4 zoning district.
Is the orange,
The 60 by 150, the orange, yes, sir.
okay? R4. Would the yellow also be R4?
Yes, so 9,000 square feet for the orange, close to R4, and then 9,100 for the yellow, would also be close to R4.
Okay. And then, since we're dealing with a PD, I know we've got, flexibility and give and take. The blue zero lot line, units, it says 2 units. Are these doubles then?
They are a double, but they're owned, so it's called single unit attached in the comprehensive plan, but it's essentially a double that'll share a common wall, but it'll be 2 individual units.
And will they be all owner occupied, or will there be any opportunity to rent them out?
They should be owner occupied. Frank, could you come up, please?
I mean, is that going to be a covenant and restriction?
How we doing? Frank Harlow, 701 North Market Street, Troy. So the zero lot lines will be similar to what we did up on the north side of Troy in the 55 and over community. And in that one, there is very strict covenants and restrictions that guard them. But we do have some of them as rentals. So it's both occupied, sold, and there's no covenants and restrictions to keep somebody from purchasing one and renting it out. So some of the ones in the 55 and over community are rentals. So
is there going to be a percentage maximum?
I don't know that we've gotten that far with it. I didn't do that in the 55 and over community. We sold so many of them, I didn't feel we needed to. And it just happens that I own most of the rentals, so.
So it's kind of like a duplex, but people can buy each side?
Correct. We do them as zero lot lines instead of doing them as a duplex. One, to keep them from being rentals, all rentals, but also so that people like owning their part of it. And so with having the demising wall on a zero lot line, it lets people own their side of the building. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff?
So are we making a recommendation then to the council?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Move to make a positive recommendation.
Second. We have a motion and a second for a positive recommendation to council. Roll call, please.
Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Westmeyer,
Yes.
Mr. McGarry,
Yes.
Mr. Wolke,
Yes.
Mrs. Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mr. Tippington.
Yes.
Approved.
Okay. Next item of business is the Downtown River Overlay District for 518 East Water Street to allow 43 single-family, 2 commercial mixed-use buildings on the west side of the site. No actions required at the meeting. Would you want to give a brief report?
Yeah, I would like to give a report, but we don't have to take an action at this meeting. We're just introducing.
We're not allowed to.
Yeah, we're not allowed to.
Right.
So this is for 43 single-family townhomes. The total acreage of the site is 4.2 acres. They're 3-story, with the 4th floor being a rooftop patio. Each floor is 1,290 square feet. They do have pretty good design elements really incorporated throughout the project. They added a really nice touch of facade variations with bump outs, brick and stone, wood trellises, awnings and canopies, and brick soldiers and lintels above the garage doors. And they really vary all the way throughout the block face. It is important to note that there is rooftop components because there is an elevator shaft in each one of the units. However, there is a graphic here that shows the visibility of those 70 foot away across the street on Water Street, and really you can just see the very top of it based on that graphic. The rear elevation that's actually facing the river also incorporates that front-facing facade design elements, including brick soldering and other detail work that really separates the facades. The development also includes a pickleball court adjacent to the riverfront with sidewalks that connect to the private drive. And then there is a sidewalk connection to the two mixed-use structures on the west side of the site. We are in conversations with the developer on a river access, but we're still in the planning processes of that at this time. We did present this plan at our Troy Truck Yard event, received pretty good feedback, and then I would also note that the next meeting will be a required public hearing. The deviations of the zoning code that led to this DRO request is the structure height of 41 foot 10 inches. The OR1 district permits a 40 foot height. The reason for this 1 foot 10 inch deviation is due to that elevator shaft and getting that rooftop access along the river. And then the side yard setbacks are 0 feet, similar to the previous project we just reviewed. I did outline the code criteria that states that the DRO permits these deviations. Getting into the comprehensive plan compliance in the MKSK downtown riverfront study, the future land use map does identify this location as a future trail-oriented development. This was also a critical path strategy number 5 on our implementation plan of that comp plan that states, continue to plan to use the city's formal industrial areas near the Great Miami River and downtown to create mixed use and varied housing options. This strategy also mentions that the time frame is years 1 through 3, and then the 2017 MKSK plan identified this as future mixed use. So we're achieving both of those stated plan goals with this project. So again, this is the first reading. The next reading will be a required public hearing where you can take action. And that'll conclude my report.
Thank you for the report. You want to take questions now or also take them at the hearing?
You could do both. It's really up to you.
The first one I had was on the river access, the public river access. Do you expect to have a decision on that by the next meeting?
By the next meeting, probably not. This is really going into the low dam removal project and some of the details working out with that. The only other question I've got is, with the density of the housing, were there additional provisions for recreation, or is that dependent upon the river access? So like this isn't really a standard subdivision that requires a 3% open space requirement, and the PD requires a 10%. The DRO doesn't encompass either one of those requirements, but we took the consideration of the uniqueness of the riverfront and the dam removal project in partnership with this project.
So the conversation next meeting will be about a DRO overlay. Does that mean that this will also then have to be rezoned as a PD? So it can stay its current zoning?
Correct.
As long as the DRO would go through?
Correct, because it's still a part of the DRO overlay.
Yeah, okay.
Did I hear some implication that this is dependent on the dam removal?
No, just particularly the river access point. So like the actual connection into the river trail.
So what you see on the rendering is dotted line around that area. That would be part of the public improvements, which is on a slightly different track. But, you know, there is that public-private connection, if you will, probably a bad word to use, that is being fostered with this development. You know, Sam's willingness to really continue to proceed forward with this, you know, was predicated at least in part on, you know, and we call it, it's part of it's the low dam, but it's also tied to the Crawford Street corridor.
Yep.
So you got the low dam, you got the Crawford Street corridor, you've got Hurlinger Park, that whole area to help in, you know, reinvest in that east end.
I have a question, Jim.
Yes, ma'am.
So, same question as the last PD. Are there restrictions as far as renting? Or are these all single-family purchased?
Yeah, they're like, it's similar to a condo, but it's not split off, so it's a townhome. So if somebody purchases it and rents it out, we couldn't stop that, but the idea is they would be owner-occupied project.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is directly behind what is now the Van Cleve School Building, is correct? And we don't know what's going to happen at the Van Cleve School Building.
We don't have,
Well, we do know, I mean, as part of our agreement with the school, when it gets transferred by 2027, that site will be scraped, and we have talked about that being maybe a future phase of this project, or complementary to this project, but for now, you know, that's not even in play.
I just have a question. If I buy a townhome, what I'm going to see from my windows facing the street? Just a question. Right now, it's the Van Cleve Building, correct?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
But by 2027, it'll be at least temporary green space, at least temporarily.
And your back windows will be the river, so.
Caveat emptor.
Exactly.
What's that?
Caveat emptor.
Nope.
Let the
It's gonna
buyer
be-
beware.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Then we will have the public hearing at the next meeting. Okay, is there any other business?
Nothing to add.
Very good. Any other business from the commission? Motion for adjournment?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.